What Stacey Says, the weekly podcast. Real lady, real life, real views. Uncensored, unfiltered, unmissable. And here's your host, Stacey.
Hello everyone and welcome to What Stacey Says. How have you all been this week? I do apologise, I'm actually doing this podcast in my pyjamas because this weather is disgusting. I'm not complaining. There's just no happy medium, is there? It's either too hot, too cold. There's nothing in between. And I don't remember crawling inside Satan's bollocks, but this is the humidness I cannot deal with. So apologise if you think that I'm sitting here and it hurts your eyes or whatever, but quite frankly I couldn't give a fuck right at this moment, because as long as I'm comfy, that's all that matters. If you don't like it, switch off, scroll on, I don't care. How has everyone's week been anyway? I came back from a lovely caravan holiday on Monday with my partner, my best friends and their 2 children. We went to Clacton. That's a whole different podcast. That is a whole different episode. That is a whole different situation. There were sights that I never thought that I would see in the whole 39 years of my life on this planet. But we will get to that in a different episode. Anywho, this week I sent a little interaction thing on all my pages that I asked what your fears and phobias are. Many people have come back and said like mice, rats. Another friend of mine said sick. I do get it, because I hate being sick. I don't mind anyone else being sick around me or listening to it or whatever, but me personally being sick, I can't stand it. I hate it. I hate the feeling. I hate everything about it. The tasting it. No, can't be dealing with it. Mine is spiders, which probably a lot of you will agree with. That it's the same. I can't explain why. I can't think of anything that's happened to me to make me scared of them. And everyone goes, oh, they're probably more scared of you. Oh, they fuck more scared of me. Some of them are so big, they come in the house, they've got 8 little pairs of boots on, they've got tattoos on each leg, and they've got a suitcase under each arm. And they just do not give a toss who or what they're doing. They just stroll in, rock up, and think they're staying for the rest of the tenancy. I can't deal with them. My partner has to get them all the time. Yeah, I can't even watch them on a screen. So I go cold, I go goosebumpily. I can't. I think where that fear come from was the original film, Arachnophobia. If you haven't watched it, I would say watch it, then you'd understand where I'm coming from. Other than that, don't, if you don't like anything creepy crawly, because it just makes you feel funny. I just like the thought of it now makes me go cold, and it's horrible. That's where I think mine kind of stem from there. But not so much my mum, but my brother is absolutely terrified of them as well. And he is 6'2", broad, beard, going grey, whatever, and he will run a mile. He would rather run, blow the house up, both, and then tackle it. So he's great to be around. My partner on the other hand just picks him up with his hand and throws him out the door. I couldn't do that. Couldn't do it. Not in a million. Not in a million years. I would rather... I think my soul would vacate my body if I did that. Or if anyone came near me with one in their hand. It's just, no. It's like the other night I was laying in bed, and because it's been so hot, hasn't it? We've had the windows open in our room, and we've got a boiler and a hot water cylinder in our room. All the gas engineers out there will know what I'm talking about. And we don't have our radiator on. So it's so hot in our room. So our window is open 365 days of the year. So I'm laying in bed. James is snoring and talking in his sleep. Revert back to my other episode. And I felt something crawl down my back. I tell you what, I jumped up out of this bed. I switched on the big light. I pulled my bed apart, checked the floor, checked the bed, checked the mattress, checked under my pillow. I was like a crazy person at 11 o'clock at night. What's James doing? Laying there, sound asleep, snoring his fucking head off. I tell you what, a bomb could have gone off in that room and he would have just laid there. And he didn't even know that I'd got up and checked until I told him the next morning. Thankfully, there was nothing there. I couldn't think of anything worse than that. That feeling was just horrendous. So that's one of mine. James has a phobia of mice, and we had a situation in our house the other day. Nan was away. She was actually in Spain, and I think it was the day before she was coming back, or the weekend before. And we kept our back door open because obviously it is like Satan's spare room in this house. And it was about 10 o'clock at night, and I thought, right, we're going to start shutting the house down. We're going to go to bed. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. My two bastard fur babies decided it would be fun to bring mummy and daddy in a mouse. Now, when I tell you a 29-year-old man, and he is tattooed, he's got a beard, and I watched this man turn into a child. Now, he was up on the sofa, feet. He was up round the lampshade because I literally looked like that and went, they've got a mouse. And this mouse is running around the front room, and it was hilarious. I could not stop laughing. Just picture the scene. I have got a plastic bowl in my hand, my phone and a torch to try and find where the fuck this thing has gone. I've got James behind me, literally using me as a fucking human shield. And I'm thinking, will you please shut the fuck up and let me concentrate? Because they're quick. They're so quick. They don't bother me, but they are so quick, and I get it. I understand his fear. So I'm on my hands and knees with this torch. My cats are just now sitting there looking at us like we're a pair of crazy bastards. I'm under this cabinet that we've got in the dining room, flashing a torch, and my nan's got a massive shoe stick thing that helps her put her shoes on. It's like really big, and I'm whacking all underneath to try and get it. Well, as soon as it moves, James is out the door. He's gone. And it was brazen, and it crawled across the back doors, went under the dining room table and across the radiator. Well, now James is behind me. I have never heard a scream so high pitched that come out of his mouth in all my life when I was crying. The language that was coming out of both of our mouths, our neighbours must have thought we were killing each other. Makes a change for me wanting to kill our neighbours. That again, that's a different podcast. Honestly, I couldn't find it. We couldn't find it, but the cats kept going back to the same place. So I just said, leave the living room door open. I can assure you it will turn up. It will turn up dead. I can guarantee you. You are going to wake up in the morning and Jerry is going to be on the fucking doormat outside the back door. I can promise you that. Would he sleep? I think this is the first time in 3 years of us being together that he didn't fucking sleep, because I think he thought he was going to go up to bed and it would be sharing a fucking bed with him. Honestly, this man is a nightmare around mice. So no mouse has come out, no mouse was found. So he thinks it's still in the house, but it's not. I think it's crawled out.
What Stacey says.
We shall
Make sure to subscribe to get updates on new episodes.
But no, it's
Uncensored, unfiltered, unmissable.
Another friend of mine is frightened of rats, and I totally get that as well, because they can grow to be about the size of a small dog. Where I used to live in Medway Way in Gravesend, they were huge and they come off the tracks. My dad, who's ex-military, is terrified of them. He can't even watch them on the telly. You open it. I think he told me a story that there was something on the telly. I think it's like one of them hoarding programs or something like that. And they opened the boot of the car and all these rats come out and he was gone. So I totally get it. I understand it. It makes me, it leaves you almost panicky, doesn't it, if you're frightened of something.
What Stacey says. Make sure to subscribe to get updates on new episodes. Uncensored, unfiltered, unmissable.
Another phobia of mine, and this developed when I was sort of in my early 20s, is fear of flying, believe it or not. And I got this, I mean, I lived in Spain, me and my family lived in Spain, and we would catch planes like they were buses at one point in our lives. Like we would book the 6 a.m. flight out of Alicante back to Gatwick, and then we'd book the 11 p.m. flight or as late as possible out of Gatwick back to Alicante the same day. So it never ever phased us. As it doesn't phase my mum, it doesn't phase my brother, doesn't phase my nan. She's 82 and got on a plane last week and come back on her own. But me, I used to fly my own. It didn't bother me. It was just like me getting in a car and driving, I suppose. I had one flight that was coming into land when I lived in Spain. I must have been about 21, I want to say 21. And it was so turbulent and I was on my own. And this is how long ago. It was Monarch Airlines. That's how long ago it was. And I was on my own, and I had a whole aisle to myself, and I had a window seat. I used to sit in the window. I used to look out the window. I loved it. I absolutely loved flying. And we hit turbulence descending into Alicante, and I honestly thought that my 21 years of my life were up. And I started panicking and I was crying. And this elderly couple next to me in the next aisle were so lovely to me. They were like, darling, are you okay? Like, is everything all right? I was just like, please just get me off this fucking plane in one piece. Obviously, we safely landed. I'm here. Nearly, I don't want to say how many years later. Nearly 20 years later. So 18 years ago. And I vowed I'd never fly again. Like, I thought, that's it. No, it's done me in. I live in Spain. I'm here and I'm here for good. Anywho, well, that didn't work out because obviously a couple of years later I came home and I had to get my mum to fly to Spain to come and get me. That's how terrified I was. And she was like, Stace, you're 20 fucking 2 years old. What is the matter with you? Get on the plane. I was like, Mum, I can't. I physically can't. Unless you get here, I ain't coming home. I said, and I'll be sleeping on the beach somewhere for the rest of my life. I said, because until I can drive, I ain't getting on a fucking plane without anyone. If I'm going to die, you're dying with me, basically. So I had to get my mum to come out, and literally she spent 4 days out there with me and she flew back with me. And that is how bad it was for me. I have got better over, I want to say, the last couple of times that I have been on holiday with James, but Valium and Prosecco at the same time I do not recommend. So this might be a trigger warning. Were my best friends, because I thought, if I'm going to die on an airplane, I'm not putting it out there, universe. I'm going to go high and drunk, and that is how I coped. I even received what's the word? Hypnosis? I might have said that wrong. I had hypnotherapy and it worked. It did work, because me and my other friend Kerry went to Greece for another friend of ours' wedding, and even she said to me, you are not as bad as what I thought you would be. Yes, you were, like, when it was a bit turbulent, you were a bit heavy breathing and were looking around, because one of my coping mechanisms on a plane is I look at the crew. So if there is turbulence, or I hate taking off, and James is not a fan of taking off, but once we're up and we're leveling out, I'm fine. That's it then. I think I'm up, done. It's fine. That's the worst bit over. And obviously I love landing, because I know I'm landing. So I watch the crew. So I look at their faces and I think if they're all right, then that's it. They're fine. They do this every day, probably. My fears have got a hell of a lot worse, obviously, listening to everything that's kind of gone on in the news lately with that horrible, horrible, horrible disaster with the Air India flight. And it does make me think, fucking hell, do I really want to get on a plane come September? Will my fears be heightened again? But I'm also in a Facebook group on Facebook for anyone who's got a fear of flying, and ask me for it and I'll send it to you. It's brilliant. There's pilots in there, there's cabin crews in there, and they really, really talk you through the noises on the plane, what to expect when you get on there, and just everything. And they have been brilliant. I've flown with EasyJet last year for our holiday, and obviously they ask you how you are when you're on the plane, and I was like, I'm a bit nervous, da, 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 da. And they were like, why, what's wrong? And I said, I just don't like turbulence. And they were brilliant with me. They looked where I was seated on the plane. They asked me if I was okay. They'd come up to me and like say, are you all right? Everything's fine. If there was a bit of turbulence. Thankfully, both of our flights were as smooth as anything. There was a little bit of turbulence coming back, but that was it. It was absolutely perfect. Both perfect flights. And I cannot praise EasyJet enough, and their crew and their everything. They are brilliant. Yes, I know they are a bit crap and they get a bit delayed and things like that, but I'd rather be delayed and be safe than be rushed and something happen. And that's how I sort of see it. So that's my fears and phobias. Get in touch with yours after this. Just let me know what other fears and phobias that you have. What do you do to cope? Another thing that I do as well with my fear of flying, I don't know whether it's this is how obsessive it can be. I've downloaded like the Flight Tracker 24. I track everyone's flights as well. So if my friend goes to me, I'm going to Ireland to see my friend, I'm like, right, I want your flight number, my nan, flight number, and I track their flight. So I went to Crete last year and I'd never been. So I know that flying to Spain is 2.5 hours max from where you're flying from. So don't bother me. So I didn't know how long the flight would be to Crete, and I'm tracking that flight. I'm tracking my flight number, and I'm tracking it every day for about a month before I flew, and just saying, all right, okay, that's 3 hours, 18 minutes there. Not too bad going back, to mentally prepare myself of how long I will be on that plane. It's madness, and it can get to the point where you don't want to fly. Or you don't want to do things. Now, I love going on holiday. We work too hard, I think, to not enjoy ourselves. And I said to myself, and I said to my partner, I said, I am not going on holiday. I can't do it. I still have Valium with me, and I have it in my purse. Another thing that I do is I hate the hustle and bustle of the airport. I know it's like your holiday and that's where your holiday starts, etc. But for me, it makes me more nervous. And I've recently booked lounges. So you've got unlimited food, drink and whatever. And normally some of them are right on top of the runway, so I can see the planes coming in and out. And that's another thing that kind of like helps me, because you see hundreds and whatever taking off every 5 minutes, and that helps me. Another thing as well is when you get to your gate and you can see your plane, I have to look at my captains of that. And I think if you look older than 12, then you can fly my aeroplane. If you look younger than that, what are you doing flying this plane? That is how my brain works when it comes to my fear of flying. So twice now, last year and the year before, I have not taken my medication because I didn't feel I needed to. And I can't fault James enough as well. He's been absolutely brilliant, even though he's a bit wobbly when we take off. He's fine. He's like, come on, you can do this, da, da, da. Whereas I've had previous partners that have not really helped and just gone, oh, for fuck's sake, here she goes again. Do you know what I mean? So it's nice to have somebody who really does understand you and supports you in your fears and phobias. So I did nearly cave in when we were coming back from COS a couple of years ago, because I don't know if any of you remember, like, all the fires at Luton Airport obviously made our flight delayed going back to Gatwick because they had to get a slot. And we were stuck on the runway at COS Airport. And if we hadn't have got a slot, that meant we'd have to sit there for another hour before getting a slot. No one really told us anything of what was going on, which wasn't helpful for me. Cabin crew didn't want to, well, they had to sit down because the pilot had turned around and said, like, once we move, we're moving. Like, remain seated, basically, and strapped in, because once this plane's gone, it's going. So that kind of, like, made me nervous as well. And I said to James, I need to take a Valium. He went, no, you don't. You're going to be fine. I was like, I do. I need to take a Valium. And plus, it's a night flight. I am worse of a night. I don't know why. I think the pilots can't see. This is what I mean. It's like they can see. But in my brain, I'm like, no, they can't see. That's it. I will only get on a daytime flight or an early morning flight. I love the 7 a.m. flights. I don't know why. I just love the early morning flights. I just feel like we get there quicker as well. So that is what I do. I sound like a fucking crazy person. I'm on water today. Haven't got my Prosecco. I think after the weekend I need to do a serious detox. Anywho, so that is me. So leave your comments. I want to hear all about it. I want the most crazy ones. I want to hear everything that you do to cope. Are you crazy like me and mix Valium with Prosecco? I don't recommend. You start seeing noises when you do things like that. So same as every time I say it, please like, subscribe, comment. You can send me an email at whatstaceysays@outlook.com. Follow me on all social platforms. So you've got Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Think I'm missing. Oh, X. There you go. Twitter. See, I'm not used to all of this. So follow me on there. Hopefully by next week it'll be a bit cooler, but looking at the weather app, I don't think it is. But like I said, I'm not complaining. I love sunshine. I am a sunbeam. I'm burnt. James looks like one of them squishy sweets. He is pink. He's that colour. I would share photos. I would. I'm trying to get him on here myself. I think I was watching. We were watching something, and that's it. I'm going to bring it up in a podcast, and I thought me and you would be brilliant. So I might have to get him on here. So voting, I'm going to vote to get him on here because he would be brilliant. So thank you all for listening and liking. I'm getting such good feedback about my other episodes, and I'm really grateful for you all. I again have no idea what I want to talk about next week, so suggestions are welcome. I have got a list, but I've actually done this today with no pads, no script, no fuck all. So I'm quite proud of myself. So yeah, so I will see you all next week. Have a lovely week, and have a lovely weekend, and I shall see you episode 3, I think, wasn't it? Episode 4 maybe. See you. Look, no scripts, no nothing, no fuck all. Fucking hell, she's useless. Love you all, and I'll see you soon.
What Stacey Says. Make sure to subscribe to get updates on new episodes. Uncensored, unfiltered, unmissable.